And then there was Dwight from The Office.
Hola.
What did he say? Something like he wouldn't write about overweight people on welfare. He would write about billionaires and their taxes.
Necesito un bueno worker. Tu es fuerte? Come on.
There is nothing funnier than millionaires talk about billionaires.
Muchos otros y no vuelve nadie.
We don't go with that man. I've seen several men go with that man and none come back.
There is nothing funnier about millionaires pretending these billionaires are out of touch.
Oh, yeah.
I pick up day laborers and tell them that they'll get paid at 6 p.m. At 5:45, a certain INS agent by the name of Mose Schrute throws them in the back of a van, drops them off in the middle of Harrisburg, and tells them it's Canada.
Take Dwight from The Office down to West Virginia, where people have extreme poverty.
Yeah, these problems exist everywhere now and I mean, obviously they are, because that's why the song resonated the way it did. You know, even in other countries. In other countries, yeah.
You speak English?
Yes, I'm really good at English.
Okay, good. Me too. Get in the car.
What's on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and an interesting interview dropped yesterday between Joe Rogan and Oliver Anthony. Many of the things Oliver Anthony said alluded to perhaps he doesn't exactly care for, well, we already know just about any politicians, but some of the things he said has the mainstream media absolutely losing its mind, melting down for him speaking essentially just truth about many things, including our current leadership, people's problems with addiction and where that comes from, and so much more. And I'm going to show a couple of clips and a couple of the reactions to it because it's pretty spicy. Now, of course, you see some of the clips, and this is why the media is melting down. Oliver Anthony and Joe Rogan call out Joe Biden and Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton for their phony flip-flopping on certain issues. Rogan went so far as to say that in the 1990s, Biden sounded a lot like a Proud Boy today. Anthony also noted that people were attracted to Trump for his raw nature. I know for sure Hillary Clinton, but I think even Obama originally, their stance was very much against gay marriage, and then it flipped around.
Investing in America means investing in all of America. When I ran for president, I made a promise that I would leave no part of the country behind. So she did do it. She really did tweet it from her account. Is that real? Oh, my God.
So they tweeted a tweet accidentally that was supposed to be from Joe Rogan. I'm sorry, Joe Rogan. Joe Biden. And you see Joe Rogan drops interview with Oliver Anthony, quote, "People are tired of being effed with. It seems like the people in power are always effing with people. And I think the founding fathers of this country recognized that when they set up our government." And they go through that section. Then you see one of the better clips, is Oliver Anthony. I'm going to talk about this on my live show today over on Rumble. Oliver Anthony sharing his favorite scripture. You know the left hates it when people are religious, in particular Christian. Scripture with Joe Rogan, and gets emotional explaining how he gave his heart to God and it turned his life around. The media, of course, definitely not going to like that, saying, "I feel like God is working inadvertently through people to get his point across." You see John Rich saying, "Really proud of Oliver Anthony and how he spoke to Joe Rogan today, talking about scripture and things of that nature. Isn't this amazing? Oliver Anthony reads the Bible on the world's biggest podcast." That's really what people are melting down about. You look at some of these headlines. Rich Men singer Oliver Anthony laments prawn, people's addiction to it, prescriptions, which I agree with, and more in this strange 2-hour Joe Rogan interview. I'm not sure exactly what was strange about it. Oliver Anthony, whose hit song Rich Men North of Richmond is at the top of the charts and created a political firestorm for both sides. We talked about how both sides were kind of fighting over him, and he had to come out and basically say, like, "I don't like any of you." After saying in a tearful video posted last week that he was uncomfortable being presented as a flag bearer for the right by hopeful Republican presidential candidates during last week's debate, Anthony was cagey about any political leanings about rich men. He said little more than, quote, "At least I know I'm doing something right by upsetting both sides of the aisle with the song." But in the conversation soon sprawled into a Rogan-esque manner into many tangents, tacked with the grace and nuance of barflies who avoid reading the news, essentially calling them both stupid. Thank you, Variety. The ills of society, celebrity, heritage, child stars, the internet, government corruption, big pharma, microplastics, fitness, and more were all up for discussion in the first hour alone. One surprising topic that sparked interest in Anthony was these, adult videos, which came up while the two were discussing businesses that didn't get corporate bailouts. That's just terrible for people, he said. That's one of the things I had to give up because it does disconnect you from reality in many ways. I think a lot of weird perversions we see coming out now at this point. I even reference some of it in the song, of course, but you read a lot about the weird things people are doing and that maybe wouldn't have been accepted 100 years ago. What is he talking about? People go down these rabbit holes with these videos. They start off with a video with a milkman and it's almost like a drug. People have to keep chasing the thrill and it takes them down very destructive rabbit holes. I have no issue with anybody watching it, but I hate to read about the things it does to people, ruins marriages, and that kind of thing. That's true. It does. Now, again, I have a similar position on it. If you just like anything, enjoy responsibly, Elsewhere, when drug companies advertising on the television came up, Anthony lamented that he went on a run with SSRIs and the side effects were more powerful than any of his beliefs. I think there's alternatives to pharmacy and medicine in a lot of cases. Maybe that's just, even if it's habits, he says. It's okay to prescribe a medicine to keep someone on course, for example. I've got a relative of mine, I won't call him out, but he won't change the way he eats at all, but he'll take whatever medications every day to keep the diabetes away and keep his blood pressure low and all that. If there should be more integration of, hey, maybe this plan of what you got shouldn't go alone with the medicine. They don't want you off the medicine, he said. If anything, they want you to keep taking it. It's weird. Based and true. Right? And look at the comments. Did you watch it? What was strange about it? Because certainly nothing in this article supported the headline. I guess maybe you were out of your depth on it, or did you just use the word disingenuously to get clicks? The only other comment was, only a Marxist editor would think anything the man said was strange. Please get a grip on reality. But one of the things that probably really got the mainstream press mad was him slamming Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton for their flip-flopping stance on gay marriage, and telling Rogan that his friends back Trump and he loves the Second Amendment. These are terrible things. These will, if you want like a leftoid to have a complete meltdown, this is what you do. You talk about the Second Amendment. You talk about Trump. You talk about freedom. You talk about anything that they hate. Mostly in this case, Trump. The overnight music sensation Oliver Anthony is taking aim at Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton for their stance on gay marriage as he opens up with Joe Rogan. Speaking on the Rogan Experience, Anthony opened up and said most of his friends backed the 2024 hopeful Donald Trump, and that he loves the Second Amendment. He weighed in after Rogan called Democrats politicians from the 90s a Nazi, saying that you look at politicians over a 15-year span, I think any politician from the 90s is going to have a lot different opinions. I know very little about any of this, but I'm sure with Hillary Clinton, this is what Oliver said, I believe said, but I think even with Obama originally, their stance was very much against gay marriage, and then it flipped around. I suspect that Oliver Anthony does not support it. Anthony's increasing star, we know how, the viral hit, the country music star, was hosted at Joe Rogan's Texas Comedy Club on Tuesday night, much to the delight of the crowd. Rogan goes on to say that Clinton didn't support gay marriage until 2013, with the former first lady opposing it as soon as 2008. She announced her support after she left her position as Secretary of State, though she denied in 2014 that she changed her opinion for political reasons. Simon is that just flat out wrong. Hey, look, people do and are allowed to change their minds. That's for sure. Then Obama declared, I don't think marriage is a civil right. And he said he believed that being gay was not a choice. In his 2006 book, The Audacity of Hope, he said his own faith as a reason to oppose gay marriage, though he also wondered whether in years hence I may be seen as someone who is on the wrong side of history. He changed his view while in the White House and helped celebrate the federal legalization in 2015. During the podcast, Rogan also discussed support for Trump, with Anthony telling him, I think what attracts people to that raw, authentic type of speech, it's not clean cut and it's not professional. Anthony also added that he loves freedom of speech and the Second Amendment during the show, admitting that most of his friends in Virginia vote red and support Donald Trump. It comes as Tucker Carlson has made several sensational claims about Obama on the Adam Carolla show, alleging the former president enjoyed crack and hooking up with men, but the media failed to report on it ahead of the 2008 presidential election. Look, I wouldn't be surprised, although he's no longer president, and I find myself not really caring and kind of run down from finding out all these politicians are absolute, degenerate trash, because it's just every day it's like, oh, there's another one. There's another one. And I mean, I think that when you look at the response, talking about faith, obviously, you see Joe Rogan essentially calls Joe Biden a puppet in chief, makes Oliver Anthony laugh out loud.
That was the whole idea of a tribal leader. Like, this is the greatest warrior. This is the smartest chief. This is the person who's like, they can lead us and they want nothing but good for us because they love us, because they know us. Biden doesn't know you. He don't know you.
None of them
You
care.
don't know. He don't know you. He don't care. He just wants to get up there and say his speech the right way, and then they give him ice cream, and then he sits down. Like, and then did you see that woman who's the White House?
I mean, there's again here, what does Oliver Anthony do when he gets on the biggest show in the world? He reads the Bible.
Like there's things it says, like, and I'll be very brief with this, I promise. But like one thing, ironically, it's Proverbs 4:20, which I thought you would like. So if there's anything better,
perfect.
But,
Read it. Preach.
My son, pay attention to what I say. Turn your ear to my words. Do not let them out of your sight. Keep them within your heart. For they are life to those who find them and health to one's whole body. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Keep your mouth free from perversity. Keep corrupt talk far from your lips. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways. Do not turn to the right or the left. Keep your foot from evil. But
that's pretty fucking profound.
But the whole book of Proverbs is like that. Like, it's not preachy. It's not what you think. Like, it's good guidance. It's like good guidance that you would.
And you see here, I mean, we look at all this stuff that happens on TikTok. Well, let's see how his Twitter account has been going. I think that's always pretty a pretty interesting thing to look at. If we look at Twitter, ain't got $1. Let's see. Didn't really get a massive boost from going on Joe Rogan, but he's still averaging 14,700 new followers a day and added 500,000 in the last 30 days. I think it's because his Twitter account was brand new, or maybe it was just, I guess, completely unknown before this. There's a lot of things in the Rogan interview that I think were pretty profound, pretty interesting. But again, Oliver Anthony just seems to be a good dude. And, Oliver Anthony is walking testimony of greatness of Jesus. Find God, he will guide. I mean, the left is having a complete meltdown about this. They hate people who are religious, in my experience. Their religion is leftism, and they just don't understand how anyone could give themselves up that way. I've said many times before, I'm not a super religious guy, but I extremely, I respect those that are and their beliefs. So congrats on this guy doing his thing on Joe Rogan. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.